Before beginning this type of project, it is important to make sure the ground is as level as possible. This is the ground rail, and it is important to begin with this piece. Be sure to look inside of your kit for the pre-notched corner rail. Proper alignment of your mobile home skirting is contingent upon where you place this corner piece. It is imperative that it is aligned properly from the very beginning. Using a level, make sure that the back part of that top rail is aligned with the siding of your mobile home. Do this on both sides to ensure that the corner is in the proper placement. Once the corner is set into place, use your level, moving along the side of your mobile home, adjusting that rail in or out, whatever is necessary for perfect alignment. Once the rails are set straight, insert your ground spikes. The next piece will be a straight piece of trim. Butt it up to the first piece and continue going. It's now time to set the top rail in place. Begin 1/2 inch from the corner of your mobile home and nail it in place. Be sure not to nail too tight because you do need room for movement. When it's time to put a piece in between two other pieces, give yourself an exact measurement and then subtract 1 inch. Mark your measurement out on that next top trim piece and use a square to make sure your line is perfectly straight. Now, using a pair of tin snips, you can begin cutting that piece in two. When attaching this to the mobile home, be sure to leave that 1/2 inch space. This is very important for expansion. Once your top rail is in place, it is time to mark every 16 inches. This is how we will measure for our panels. At those 16-inch marks, measure from the ground to the bottom of that top rail and then add 2 inches. Write those measurements down in the order that you take them. This will keep things running a lot more smoothly. Now it's time to place your marks on those side panels. Place one on each side and then align it with a straight edge. This will make sure that your line is nice and straight. Again, use those tin snips and cut the piece in two. It is very important that you begin placing these panels at the corners. You want to measure from a previous panel or choose a measurement for the very first corner wherever you choose. Mark those measurements in place at the top and bottom of your panel. And using a straight edge and the bottom of a nail or ground stake, lightly score that piece. Be careful that you do not cut too deeply because that will ruin the process. Now where your score mark is, use a little pressure and bend that side panel, being careful not to break it in two. And slip that right inside of the piece that should already be there. If this is your very first corner, obviously you will not have to place that interlocking. It will just be freestanding until you work your way around. Make sure it is secure in the bottom panel. And then you can just keep adding your panels one by one. Occasionally you will come upon a scene like this where you are going to have to make cuts for wiring or duct work. Measure from the ground to the place where you do need to make a cut and then insert the panel, locking it in place. Once that is securely in place, you can measure up a drill bit to the size of your wire or duct, whatever you're working with. Measure off from the ground to where that wire needs to come through and then drill carefully and slowly a hole where you need it to be. Now poke that wire right on through or duct, whatever you're working with, and it should fit like a glove. Once that has been accomplished, we can now add the final top rails. Look for the piece that is pre-notched for the corner and begin on the corner. Simply align that corner up and place the top of that rail right underneath the lip of the top rail that you already nailed to the mobile home. It should slip right in, locking in place. That will give you a nice, tight, secure corner. It's time to continue with our straight pieces, which do come pre-notched for you at 1.5 inches. Simply slide that into place, making sure it locks, and then slide it up underneath the piece that you've already placed. You will feel it hit where the notch ends.